Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Eagle kami, di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugo. Todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing giting at tigil.
Meron? Ano nga ba ang meron? Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis. Lundag na, Ateneo!
Good afternoon. It's Jovi Miroy on Lundagin mo, Beybeh Monday. Kamusta po kayong lahat? Wala po si Sir Ron, pero meron naman tayong kasing kiss. Nag-kiss siya ba si Sir Ron?
Hindi sir. Hindi ko siya
hindi ba? Pero nag-abot kayo sa... So ang ating co-anchor, guest co-anchor this afternoon is Brother Bien Cruz. We already had him before. I don't remember what the topic was anymore. So he's graciously accepted the invitation to substitute for Sir Rod. So Bien, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to everyone, to all our listeners. So I'm here in Cagayan de Oro City.
Ano ba magsabi ng good afternoon sa Bisaya?
Bisaya. Maayong hapon sa tanan. Maayong hapon sa tanan.
Alright.
Maayong hapon.
So ano din natin, sana hope din natin sa your students in Cagayan de Oro will watch us at some point. May nakikinig ba sa Radyo Katipunan sa Ateneo de Cagayan?
Yes. Dito sila nanonood ng mass sa Radyo Katipunan.
I see. So baka magsimula na din yung yung other programs ng Radyo Katipunan. Alright.
Sabihin natin sa kanila, i-like nila.
Yes. So you can do that. Alright. So how are you in Cagayan? Did you spend the holidays there?
Yes, we spent our holidays here. Usually, Jesuit brothers assigned in Regency, we're sent home for a while to be with family, to be with friends, ganun. Pero because of this pandemic, we have to stay here. Masaya naman, sir.
Right.
Jesuit community during the holidays, ibang energy.
Did you also have like simbang gabi or?
Yes, meron pa ring simbang gabi dito, sir. And I think Cagayan is more free kasi hindi naman ganun karami yung COVID cases. Basta may social distancing, mask, and face shield.
Yes. We had our LD on fire pilgrimage once in Bukidnon, so we made a stopover in Cagayan, and then it was going towards a retreat house in Bukidnon. So Biens, anything else that you want to remember? So at least hindi masyadong how's your family? You keep in touch with them? Your family?
The other week probably. And then syempre, ang parents, ang sisters, ang pati pamangkin ko may Facebook na. So doon kami nag-uusap.
Right. So meron kang gustong batiin? Meron ka bang gustong batiin sa ano natin?
Sa lahat ng listeners natin, syempre, mga sa Ateneo de Manila, hello everyone. Nakamiss ang campus ng Ateneo de Manila.
Ako din, hindi ako nakakapunta doon. So, what do you miss
iba,
about Ateneo de Manila? Huwag mo sabihin yung UP Town Center.
I think yung kasi parang Ateneo has always been a home. Ateneo de Manila has always been a home. Kasi I started studying there, 6 years old pa ako. So, technically, dyan ako lumaki in many ways, di ba? Lumaki sa age, tsaka tumaba sa Ateneo. So, home talaga. Parang, I remember before leaving for Cagayan de Oro, we had a retreat. And then, pandemic yung retreat. So, sa amin lang yung campus. I went around, and then realized ko na, dami memories dito. From grade school, high school, college, and beyond.
That's
Baka maiyak ako, sir.
And but you've not been away for a year yet, no? It's only been less than a year.
Since June.
Right. So is it challenging? Yes, nami-miss mo siya. So you're still at that. But it's better nga now. You can just chime in through Zoom or through Facebook. So I asked Bien what he would like to talk about because it's really like me and Sir Ron talk about anything and everything under the sun. And he chose a topic. So the topic this afternoon is what, Bien? What's our topic?
Commitment. The topic is about commitment.
All right.
Something very commitment.
So ilagay natin muna siya sa context. Ano ba yung pwede nating bakit kaya commitment? Ano ba yan sa Filipino? Pagtataya, all right? So ano ba ang context kaya nito sa ating kabataan? Itong kahit yung mga not so young anymore. Commitment.
I think ang maganda natin pag-usapan dito, sir, would be commitment, 'di ba? It's difficult. It's a difficult situation right now, the pandemic, and all of us are undergoing challenges in many different ways. Mahalaga pa ba yung commitment o dagdag problema ba yan? Dagdag bigat? Dagdag pa sa krus natin?
Tinanong nga ni Justin, commitment ba to in terms of love, work, or vocation? Ano ba daw?
Baka, sir,
love, commitment in terms of love? Mukhang kailangan.
Try natin. All of the above.
All of the above. All right. So lahat yun, naranasan mo lahat yun? Work, vocation, and love.
Yes, work, vocation, love. I think andun naman lahat yon.
Alright. So do you think yung mga estudyante mo, they are not thinking of commitments, or are they, but they think it might be difficult?
I think they are, sir. I think they are thinking of commitment as early as grade 10 of junior high school. Kasi ma-share ko lang, sir, the lesson. My class in Xavier Junior High School is about Catholic social teachings and Christian social responsibility. And minsan dumadaan kami doon sa commitment of preferential option for the poor, to care for the environment. And I think captivated sila sa word na commitment and even longing for it. Pero at the same time, I think they doubt themselves if they are really capable of it.
They doubt themselves. All right.
Parang mahirap yan eh. Parang nakakatakot yan. Pero I think
bakit daw nakakatakot?
Nakakatakot because it would close the other options.
I see.
Diba?
Even in love and in work, that's how they feel. That's what they say about millennials or Generation Z, that they mas madali sa kanila magpalipat-lipat ng work. They start work as soon as easily as they end work as easily as they starting. Sabi, lagi silang nag-change ng employment.
Yes.
But I wonder now, no, if they have the same luxury, if they can
Yeah.
still, I wonder what the data would say about. But alam na that's what they were telling us before. Yeah, you're teaching people who think they have all the options in the world, and they cannot answer the question. Yourself 5 years, or how do you see yourself? So it's always like looking at the next. Laging level up yung mga estudyante, yung mga kabataan natin.
Yeah. Laging
So
lumilit
commitment is not.
pero ang
Oh,
ang tawag lagi is yung diving eh. Ito yung lagi sinasabi ni Father Adolfo Nicolas. Hindi yung quantity ng kailangan gawin or keeping the options open always, but it's actually going deeper.
Which is what's necessary.
Yes. Yun yung hinahanap. Kasi tingin ko yun yung greatest hunger ng kabataan ngayon. My age, even ako, di ba? It's the greatest hunger that I still long for, is to be connected, to go deeper into something, hindi lang mabilis lahat. Napakabilis eh. Maybe commitment is that anchor that we need dito sa mabilis na galaw ng mga bagay-bagay sa mundo.
So you feel that they want to do it, but they're afraid to do it.
Yes, sir. I think they're afraid, and siguro may part din doon na misunderstood kung ano yung commitment eh. May misunderstanding na parang ano ba yung nakukulong ba tayo pa nagko-commit?
Isang meaning ng commitment is to put someone in the asylum, to commit someone.
To commit someone.
Ay, lalagay siya sa asylum. So parang iniisip nila to commitment is a form of not being free. So may kinalaman siya sa freedom, yung commitment. May kinalaman siya sa freedom. You were yes. Go ahead.
Isa sa mga narinig kong comment is pag nag-commit ako, kahit iniisip pa lang nila, yung mga estudyante ko, mga bata, hindi naman bata, mga preteen, teenagers already, pagka nag-commit ako in the future, sayang naman because I would be closing all the options in life. I'll miss out. And tsaka yung tanong na, paano ko masisigurado kung ito na talaga yun? Diba? Tamang-tama yung title ng program natin ngayon, Lundagin mo, Beybeh.
Lundagin mo, Beybeh. Oh. So do you think you're in Ateneo, like when you were in Ateneo before, do you see the same experience as your batchmates or your kababata? Or are you like different in that sense that you are longing for something that is not horizontally, like you're like going from one flower to another, but going deeper? Are you like an exception, or are you also see the same pattern?
I think, sir, to be honest, I also felt that same, the same na bilis-bilis, ganun. That's why I started discerning.
I see.
That's why I
started.
started.
Why don't you talk about that, yung paru-paru stage mo?
Paru-paru stage.
Yung social butterfly stage mo, or yung
siguro,
what Heidegger would call regional ontology. Yung buhay ng tao is like a pizza na iba-ibang regions, and then you jump from one region to another.
Siguro doon time na yun, sir, I would think that it's like an endless search. It's like an endless search for things that would fulfill me, or an endless search para kung may hinahabol pero hindi ko alam kung may humahabol ba sa akin o saan ako pupunta. Basta gusto ko lang
saan ka nagpunta? Work? Were you talking about work? You went from one company to another?
Di ako nag-work, sir. But siguro, passion. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. Parang, actually, when I graduated, parang iniisip ko, BS Psychology ba talaga yung gusto ko? Ay, ginawa ko lang to kasi dito na ako eh. Pero pag iniisip ko yung experience ko noon, ang dami kong gusto gawin. Gusto ko mag-shift, sa philosophy, gusto ko mag-shift sa biology, sa iba-ibang mga courses. Pero ang nag-prevent lang sa akin is sayang yung oras. Sayang yung oras. So, pero nandun yung drive sa loob eh. Yung constant search. And even yung I would go with my friends to different places around the Philippines, pagka sem break, even in college, magsisinulog kami.
So you had that travel bug.
Yes. And I think about it, masaya, and it's really good. Pero laging there's something more. I think yun yung naka-captivate sa akin, something more. And until now, it continues. And I would, based on my experience, based on my faith, I would say that that's the Magis, that's the Lord trying to call me to make the next step. Pero hindi na siya yung parang
You
kating-kating
didn't
na
think that
susunod.
exactly that if you said yes, you would be missing out on many things.
I think it's a struggle. So I think that's why we have the novitiate for it, for 2 years of the novitiate, for us to really say na, yeah, this is my commitment. My commitment to be a Jesuit is here. And one of the greatest insights that I had during the novitiate was my yes can mean so many no's for other things. But this yes is so beautiful for me. Na natatalbugan niya yung mga no na ginawa ko. Dahil dito. May give and take. Parang
Do you feel like when you see your students or your batchmates or people, even old people who are moving from one path to another, so a lot of people can also live that way. They're doing something. They do one thing, they accomplish one thing, and then they accomplish another thing. It's like well, how do you feel about them? Parang commitment ba talaga yan? O profession yan? Or, you can also have that, it's a profession, it's what you profess, what you commit, or which is different from work. Diba? So you just have work, but iba if you have a profession, diba? Or you have a commitment to a mission and not just have a career. Diba? Those are different things. When you see other people living that kind of life, he was asking, saan ba pwedeng, an opening? Do you think I can apply? I know some students who are like that, or former students who are now my friends. They're always asking for the next big thing. When you hear that from them, how do you feel? Do you feel like dapat ganun ka din, di ba? Or since you're already set in life, at least in the Franciscan parang or in the monastic orders, it's parang you're actually, di ba? There was a time that the Franciscans would sleep in their coffins. So entering the religious life is like really preparation for death. But do you feel that shouldn't you also have that sense na what's the next big thing for me or
siguro first sir, yung sa yung if I see people, especially my peers, especially my friends, some of my friends na lipat-lipat ng trabaho, kung saan-saan, yung parang restless wanderer. Hindi ko talaga naiisip yun na parang, ay sayang, sana may commitment or ganon. But rather, ang movement ko is to talk to them. Really to talk to them. And thankfully, they share. I think it's a parang grace of the office then, or grace the role ko ngayon as their friend who eventually entered the Jesuit, that they would share.
And that is
things.
the grace of our faith. People are saying that it's well, to a large extent, a failed tradition. That's from Gary Willis. But it's also the grace of the faith that there are still that consecrated men and women, Kasi pag you talk about commitment, halimbawa na siya. Hindi na niya kailangan magpa-tumbling.
So yun, pagka nag-share sila sa akin ng mga frustrations nila sa parang endless wandering yung trabaho nila, kung saan sila, parang after unpacking, and then I realized that they're really committed. They're not committed at least dun sa level ng trabaho, pero they're committed in their relationships. They're committed in their faith, in their own way. Ganun. So may mga commitment. Ang nakakatuwa, after sharing to me their frustrations of, yun nga, yung endless wanderings dito sa mundo, they would have these stories of someone or something na pinanghahawakan nila. Parang ako, yun yung siguro yung experience na hinahanap nating lahat. And as a religious, as a Jesuit, siguro yun yung experience na laging pinapamukha sa akin whenever I pray, whenever we have community gatherings. Because hopefully, yun ang foundation ng religious life, is to have those moments na malalalim, na moments with the Lord.
So you talk to them. How do you start your conversation with them?
Siguro, lagi, kamusta ka na? Kamusta ka na? O, ano nangyari? Oh, lilipat ka ng trabaho. And then, it's easy. They would unpack. And usually, some friends of mine would talk to me after a long time just to share these things. And I think it's beautiful because it's part of the ministry. It's part of the real works of the Society of Jesus to accompany people as they continue to discern. At the same time, stepping away from God, dealing directly with that person. Ako, technically, parang sabi niyo nga kanina, sir, we just listen.
Yes. But that's, parang iniisip ko din a lot, like I am thinking of a friend now who lost her job, no? Parang, of course, the commitment, it might be there, hindi na pwede kasi the company closed or nag-retrench, di ba? So you have a lot of people now who are experiencing a lot of volatility, no? So while they want to commit, they cannot kasi nawala na yung work nila. So yun yung tinatanong natin, no? Is commitment possible in a time of pandemic or in a time of great just uncertainty? Siguro mas maigi. I wonder, do you have a lot of applicants to the novitiate?
Sa ngayon, I'm not sure, sir, if there would be a lot of applicants. Pero I remember
imagine, as a medievalist, I would imagine a time of crisis would attract people.
Yes, that's what an old Jesuit told me. Na he's expecting na after this pandemic, a lot of people would enter the priesthood and religious life. Or at least based on my timeline, sa Facebook timeline ko, a lot of people are getting married. So they're committing during this time of the pandemic.
That's true, di ba?
And I think
and
the
hopefully
world is
they didn't meet each other during the quarantine. Ano?
Yeah, probably more than mas mahaba naman. Pero I think this pandemic would allow us to really see kung ano yung mahalaga. Yung mahalaga. Parang nawala yung mga trappings ng mga dumadaan lang ng mga bagay, mga ephemeral things, and then naiiwan yung mahalaga. I think I heard it from Pope Francis, and I have to agree. I agree na because of this pandemic, the world is undergoing a transition. The transition, all of us are undergoing transitions, and during these transitions, we tend to see or highlight what is important. And thankfully, ang daming nakakakita ng mahalaga, deciding to do this, deciding to do that, making difficult decisions.
Although that didn't stop your superiors to send you
yes
on your way to your regency, no? So it's like a real transition for you.
Nakakatawa nga, sir. When I was given the assignment to teach in Cagayan de Oro, it was, I think, middle of February. So we were given a simple allowance to buy the things that you need, di ba? So ako, I need para sa uniform, slacks, shorts, tawag dito, mga khaki pants para sa uniform. And then the pandemic happened, online classes. Some of my pairs of pants dito, nasa plastic pa rin. Hindi ko pa nagagamit. So I think ibang level ng commitment yon, sir.
So that's not what was necessary pala.
Oo. Not necessary. Pero yun nga, parang this opportunity.
Did you question your commitment, or did it as in the time of quarantine, or did it?
Yeah, I remember one of the Jesuits, um, nag-informal conversations kami na, uy, we're being trained to become priest. And then no more mass, 'di ba? During that time, bawal talaga magmisa. We're stuck doon. Parang ano ngayon ang pagpapari ngayon? Diba? So napaisip. And then hindi lang during the pandemic, but I think in a very important stages of my early formation then lumabas din yun. Even during now, parang napapaisip na, is this really what I want? Weird. I think that's the paradox of making a vow or committing myself initially into this vocation na it's a one-time, big-time commitment. Diba? Our vows are perpetual first vows, but at the same time, it requires a daily yes to it. Ang ganda. It's just
All right.
one
So I
time,
think
big
that's
time, but
already
daily
the
yes.
the gist. No? But you were telling me a while ago. So what would Saint Ignatius say if you're making a lundag, a commitment at this time of pandemic?
Yeah, I think sa discernment of spirits ni Saint Ignatius sa spiritual exercises, he would caution people making decisions during high or low emotions or
He
high
would
and low.
caution against it.
Yes,
Sabi
na
niya,
wag
wag
muna.
muna.
Wag muna.
So, kunyari, kung gusto mo
tumalon.
umalis ng work, sasabihin niya, wag muna. Or kung
Wag
gusto
muna.
magpakasal, wag muna, sasabihin.
Kaagad,
Or
wag muna.
mag-propose.
Pero,
Or lumabas sa society, sasabihin niya, wag muna.
wag muna. Siguro wag muna hindi dahil may nangyayari sa paligid ko, kundi ang tinitignan dito is yung loob. Ano ba yung nangyayari sa loob dito? Ang ganda nung salita ng loob. Yung interiority ng tao. Ano ba yung nangyayari?
Kasi yung
High
what
or
is
low?
what is foremost sa consciousness ng tao is what's happening outside.
Yes, oo.
So pag extreme consolation and desolation, wag munang lulundag, all right?
Wag muna.
Kasi what you're thinking about would be what's going to happen, what's happening outside you. Or 'di ba? Like and I think that's also true if you're always just looking outside, you cannot make a commitment, 'di ba? So you're always looking at the goings on outside. Mahihirapan mag-commit. You think?
Mahirap din lagi nakatingin sa labas kasi sometimes we would end up just following the trend nito na, ay, so nagpapakasal na yung lahat. Papakasal na rin ako.
Which is a lot of unfortunately, because I probably know more girls than guys, but I think a lot of girls are, everyone's getting married, so when it's when will I get married? So that's also something I know, no? Or everyone's leveling up, then you also want to level up.
I remember one story that I heard sa novitiate ko na it was really memorable for me. Parang there was a story of a young monk yata asking an older monk na, why are so many monks leaving the monastery? And then the older monk said a parable na there was this one wolf yata who saw a rabbit and started chasing the rabbit. And then the other wolves saw the rabbit then, and then they started running then towards the rabbit. And then some other wolves saw the wolves running and they started running then kasi the other wolves are running. Eventually, yung ibang wolves nag-stop na sila, ayaw nila tumakbo. And they eventually left the chase. And then the older monk said na because they were looking at the running wolves, they did not see the rabbit. So siguro yun nung sa vocation, sa kahit anong commitment is may nakita ba natin ng rabbit ko bakit tayo tumatakbo o nakikisabay lang tayo dun sa ginagawa ng iba?
Sa klase when I talk about commitment and I teach in Filipino. So pagtataya yan sa Filipino. So tatlo yung aspect kasi in others nasugal siya. So in our consciousness as Filipinos, commitment it's a game, it's a gamble. And there are three aspects to when you wager, di ba? One, So pag tinanong, sir, gusto ko nang mag-commit. The first question, meron ka ba pagkukumitan? So kailangan meron kang pagtatayaan. So kailangan may pagtatayaan muna, 'di ba? Alam ka naman mag-commit ka na wala naman pala diyan, 'di ba? The second is which is what the rabbit signifies, 'di ba? So yung ano ba talaga yung hinahanap mo, 'di ba? So you cannot talk about commitment. You know, of course, you see a lot of people with the social life, with the love life, ganyan. But question is, baka wala ka naman tinitignan mo lang yung gusto mo mag-commit, di ba? Or you want, well, because our students are like that, but we teach them to be men and women for others. But the real question is, where's the other? Where's the other? Look at the other. No? So yung pinagtatayaan. But the other side of it naman, yung nagtataya. No? And that's you. Yeah? So you have to know yourself. So mahirap din mag-commit if you're not yet sure of who you are, or you have not had experience, or there's very little knowledge of oneself, or as Father James Gascon would say, you might know yourself, but what is lacking, or what is weak is accepting yourself. So, totoo din yun. No? Yung kadalasan naman, kilala natin yung sarili natin. But the difficulty is in accepting our weaknesses, no? Or even our desires. And I think for our students, it's also they want to be just, but they have other desires. You know, they also want to succeed. They also want to have all sorts of possessions, diba? But they also so you have to accept who you are as well. But then the third part of it is ano yung pantaya mo. So what are you willing to give? No? So it's a wager siya. So, ano yung tinatayaan? So baka hindi ka tumitingin o wala pa talaga, 'di ba? But then lo and behold, there's always God who is asking us, 'di ba, to wager on him, to believe in him. So kung kahit wala yung, and that's precisely our experience in the pandemic. Everything else can, lahat ng our work can disappear, 'di ba? That company can fold up, 'di ba? And we're only too lucky that nandyan lagi yung Ateneo, but it can also disappear, But what is that which will never really disappear, no? Na laging nandiyan, pwede mo siyang pagtayaan. So yes, a person can always be there, a concrete face will always be there, but not all the time, So God is always calling us to that commitment. But the other side is yung sarili natin. Baka hindi malinaw yung sarili natin. So, but then the other question we can ask is, how much am I willing to bet? So minsan konti pa lang, minsan madami na. And in your case, it's the whole self na, no?
It's a growing commitment. Naalala ko doon sa sinasabi nyo, sir, yung parang sa kwento ni David sa Bible, 'di ba? Parang ganun din ang commitment natin lagi sa Diyos. Eventually, it's our commitment to God. Lord, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this. This is my offering of myself. Pero at the same time, we realize that si God, baka ganun din sinasabi sa atin. Actually, I'm also committing to you. Ako nauna eh. Ako yung nauna. And I remember the story of David. Di ba? Parang, Lord, I'll give you a big house. I'll give you a temple. That's good, but I won't, hindi ikaw yung bibigay sa akin ng temple. You won't give me a house, but I am the one who will give you the house. Parang, laging mas malaki yung commitment sa atin ng Diyos. Which is, I think, consoling, and it removes the weight. Parang in the end, ang ganda-ganda nung, isa sa mga paborito kong linya sa vows namin is na, Lord, since binigyan mo ako ng ganitong grasya para gawin itong commitment na to, bigyan mo rin ako ng grasya para magawa ko to. For me to be able to do it. Kasi kung ako lang mag-isa, mahirap to. Pero kung nandyan ka, tutulungan ako. Na ikaw na marunong mag-commit, matutulungan mo ako dito.
It is really a grace to discover that God is the one that's always ready to receive our yes. No? He's the one
Yes.
who's asking us for our and there was a time, your good friend, Mr. Kilasan would always say, that's a very feminine thing kasi, to say yes. Uh, Normally, the man is the one who asks, di ba? So the man is, so mahirap niya intindihin, tinatanong din siya. So part of my task as a teacher is to make everyone realize, no, lahat tayo, we are being called, we're all being invited, and I think you mentioned a while ago that the story of your commitment is not so much saying no to the world. That's very significant, because for the longest time, the religious life is, from a medievalist point of view, a religious life is saying no to the world. Of course, that's not very Ignatian. It's a yes to somebody. That's your experience. That's your story.
It's a yes to somebody. It's a yes to God, but God who is active in the world, who is active in the daily struggles of human beings, daily struggles of students trying to learn something in online learning, teachers trying to adapt new skills. Andun, di ba? Parang, I think yun yung greatest claim ng Ignatian spirituality ni Saint Ignatius, that God cannot be parang locked inside the church, inside the abbey, inside even inside the Catholic Church, but we can meet him outside doing even the most trivial things.
Yes. So I think yun yung isa sa key aspects when we are forming our students towards commitment. It's not a no. No, kasi madalas pag tinatawag ka ng Diyos, iniisip, what am I going to give up? Yan yung sinabi din natin kanina. They think it's losing something, di ba? Or it's a no to many other things. But it's really the way you look at it, di ba? It's and your experience is not that you said no, you said yes. The commitment is for the longest time kasi that's how we explain commitment to God, or to the faith, that it's saying no to cigarettes, it's saying no to the world, it's saying no to etc. But in reality, it's not. You said it's not. And in the Ignatian, is that this God is engaged in the world.
Mm-hmm.
This God is yeah.
And I think that's I think that's the importance of the relationship, the loving relationship within a commitment. Because if no, parang commitment ends up becoming a law that we should follow, or a rule lang, di ba? But if it's a yes to somebody, it's a yes to somebody that I love, then it becomes freeing, di ba? I think yun yung prerequisite ng commitment, na it's a yes to something. Saying no to cigarettes is saying yes to health, saying yes to a longer life.
Mas
so that I
madali,
can
di
lead a
ba?
family.
To make that no, or saying no to what's this, Coke, whatever, to sodas. It's easier if you know what you're saying yes to. Is that
Yes.
what?
It's easier if you know what you're saying yes to. Parang, I mean, some of my friends, di ba, na nagsastart na sila to settle down in their relationships, some of them getting married, is yung saying yes to somebody that I love. And it's easy to say yes sa taong mahal ko, and madali mag-no sa iba. Pero hindi naman talaga absolute na walang no yan. Pero itong yes na to yung mas matimbang. Itong yes na to yung mas matimbang. If you say na, oy, ako na yung magiging asawa nito, hindi na ako magiging asawa ng iba. And dahil mahal ko tong tao na to, mas madali, mas magaang, mas nakakapagpalaya. It's something beautiful. It's scary, but it's beautiful.
Scary? Why is it scary?
Scary kasi may responsibility, di ba, sir? Parang, ang naalala ko sa inyo since sa Philo of Religion, it's like the experience of God. Nakakatakot, pero yun ang gusto natin. Di Diba, may ganun yun. So, hindi ko alam kung paano phrase ng mga medieval philosophers yun. But the experience of
One.
God is scary, at the same time, beautiful.
Well, the experience of God is always personal, no? So even among the medieval thinkers, theologians, the numinous, God reveals Himself or herself to a way that is understandable to us, So, but the response is also always different, diba? And that is why we always say that, you look at Saint Ignatius and you look at Saint Santa Teresa de Avila. They're responding to the same God, and yet the response is so different. And that's also important in commitment. That's why when you say yes, it's not putting yourself. I always say this: if we present the faith to our young people as they're going to be placed under a bell, what will happen, diba? So as you said, you don't do this, or and in a lot of our schools, it's still like that. Being a Catholic is don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. All right, it's always about what you shouldn't do, diba? And so if we present being Christian or being holy as being part of being encapsulated in a bell, what will happen? And in most cases, people think it's like that. Being part of, the bell will never ring. Diba? The bell will never ring.
Eh, sir, ano lang dito. Nag-comment si Father Nono.
Oh,
Ating,
sabi niya.
nakakita ko dito. Tanong yata to para sa akin. What do you feel when a Jesuit leaves a society? Kasi ito naman yata isang tanong para sa inyo. Parang oral exams. Ano po ang grade? Si Sir Jovi po pala, teacher ko nga pala siya sa medieval philosophy. Philosophy ako. So what do I feel when a Jesuit leaves a society? I think nandun yung yung happy for that person.
Several, no?
I know.
You know the adage that's going around. I don't know if it's also I think Father Ferial said that to us. Says, if you're intelligent, you leave. if you are mabait, you die young.
And all of us are still here.
Yes. So how do you feel now pag may lumalabas?
Some of my friends dito sa Jesuit, even some of my friends eventually left. Jesuit friends, some of them left na. And I'm really happy for them then. Kasi I know na hindi naman to agad-agad, but it's a fruit of their discernment. And many of my friends, even before entering the Jesuit, some of them, I became friends with scholastics. Even when I was in high school and college, I am happy kasi I can see their lives still na offering it for the service of others, and then for the love of God, for the greater glory of God pa rin. And in the end, di ba, hindi lang naman ito yung bukasyon na may commitment, maraming commitment. Even being single blessedness is a commitment. Di ba?
Ano daw ang grade? Mataas! Mataas ang grade ni Bien sa akin. No?
So hello kay Father Nono.
Pero naging MA na siya noon eh. So kaya siguro kung undergrad yan, yung kwento.
Undergrad ano yan, sir? D.
Pero yung what you call, yung klase nila is very colorful. I should write a play about that class one.
Yeah.
See, Father Ferios told us once, to be a philosophy teacher is a vocation. And that's really true. It's to be a philosophy teacher it's not easy, and it's useless. You're teaching something that has no value in the real world. So, and if you're gonna commit to it, parang why? And then, as you know, the philosophy department is not a bed of roses. And the same thing with the Society of Jesus, I suppose. Just like anything human, it's not a paradise. It's not paradise on earth.
Isa sa mga
May sinasabi si Nono, So, si Father Nono. So parang sinasabi ni Father Nono, a commitment can also change. Is that something that we can talk about a bit? Yung in when I was studying sa postmodernity, hindi na siya parang hindi na siya uso yung commitment, yung buong question ng commitment. Kasi ano siya, it's very the notion of vows is a medieval notion, oaths, something we see in Lord of the Rings. It's a very chivalric. It's part of the code of chivalry, yung vows,
Yes.
of oaths, mga oaths, and we see politicians, diba, breaking their oaths left and right, and so kaya in the postmodern condition, sinasabi nila, kailangan you reinvent yourself all the time, so there's no notion of self, walang stable self sa buhay talaga. So, ang kailangan is this constant reinvention of oneself. So, commitment is not part of the postmodern condition. So, parang, kasi it's a cultural construct, while it was very important, let's say, in the Middle Ages, it's part of code of chivalry. It is not now, It's really not. And we've seen that in the West, it's not part of, you don't have to be married once. You don't even have to be married. So that's something to be conscious about. Bien. So do you think there is a self? Meron ka bang, kasi naririnig natin lagi yan, yung reinvention of oneself. Kailangan lagi kang, there's really no self. You're just performing. You're always just performing. So you have different costumes, you have different characters. Parang yung there's this character who likes doing impersonations. So what do you think? Is commitment just part of the code of chivalry?
Tingin ko, sir, yung commitment na ano siya parang tulad nga sa sinabi niyo, sa Tagalog, mas maganda May pagtataya na nagaganap. Pag tumaya ako sa loto, hindi naman yung sigurado na mananalo ako Pag tumaya ako sa sugal, hindi ako siguradong mananalo ako ng sugal. Or, kunyari, pumasok ako dito sa Kapisanan ni Hesus, hindi natin alam kung anong mangyari sa future. Pero may hope May hope doon Parang tamang-tama lang yung next best step natin na nakakataon na ito yung Lord. Kaya siguro mahalaga talaga yung relationship. Na parehong mystery. Hindi ko man alam kung ano yung kakalabasan nito in 10 years, in 5 years, in next month. Pero Lord, samahan mo ko. Or pag may asawa, Lord, samahan mo ko through my wife, through my husband. Na gano'n na. Yun, yung mahalaga pa rin yung relationship na sabay natin to tignan kung saan tayo dadalhin nito.
I think that's very important. Kasi for all this time, we present the notions of commitment or belief, as an individual choice. Whether you're going to say yes, even the way we tell the story of Our Lady saying her fiat, it's always like she's alone in her room, she's like the angel appears to her by herself, and she makes a decision all by herself as an independent and individual person. But probably no, in most likelihood, Our Lady was part of a community of women that were oblated in the temple. As we know, she was presented to the temple as a child, as a young girl, where she was taught in the temple with other girls. So she was not making a decision all by herself. And the same thing, when we are asked by God, we're not just making that decision by ourselves. And I think that's the beauty of discernment, that you don't make that journey by yourself, di ba?
Yes. And I think maganda yun sa kasal, di ba, sir? Pagka kinakasal yung mga kakilala natin, pamilya yung pumupunta. Nandun yung pamilya, andun yung mga isang barangay ng ninong at ninang promising then na we would help you make your commitment possible. It's a community. It's always a community, I think. Kaya ano.
And even like discerning your profession, di ba? Or discerning your work, you don't do it by yourself. As we always say, you don't find yourself by locking yourself up in your room and contemplating your navel. That
You
is
go
not.
out. You
That
go
is
out.
not. Yes, you should go out. You join a club, join an organization. You make mistakes. You get hurt. Impossible. You will never know yourself by locking yourself in your room.
Mm-mm.
And the same thing in online learning. The more you take that as your independent and individual task, mas mahirap siya. So it's something that you take on as part of an ecosystem.
Naalala ko, sir, yung isang poster namin dati sa vocation promotion. I'm not promoting, I'm promoting also the Jesuits, di ba? Na if you want. Pero may isa kaming poster, nakasulat doon sa ibaba, Society of Jesus, Priests and Brothers, sa baba. Hindi mo malalaman kung hindi mo susubukan. Di ba?
That's
So,
it.
again, balik tayo sa title ng program, Lundagin. Pero hindi naman tayo lulundag mag-isa.
Exactly. That's it. Kaya nga discernment siya, di ba? So it's something that you do with a spiritual director, something that you do with the whole church. Of course, you do it with God. Even your own work, your own path in life, you need someone to guide you. You need someone to allow you to make discoveries. Yes, yeah.
Andun din, sir, yung sa tradition ng religious life, especially dito sa Society of Jesus, is the importance of the superior as well. Parang, ito yung commitment ko. I want to do this. I want to do that. This is, I think, it will be meaningful for me. Pero the superior would also be the one to say na, sige or hindi. Para I remember before we were given the permission to pronounce our vows, we had to write a letter to the provincial. Diba? And they would be the one to approve. Any decisions, important decisions, would be approved by the superiors. And I think also the commitment, kasi di ba parang ang commitment, may sariling, hindi naman yabang, pero may, ito yun. Pero at the same time, there's also the need for a humility to say na, tama ba to? And then you'll start consulting people, consulting the Lord in prayer, consulting.
That's what I was saying a while ago. So for a lot of our students, they want to commit. Teka muna, kanino ka magko-commit? All right, baka naman ayaw sa iyo ng community. Baka ayaw sa iyo ng area na yon. So dahan-dahan, no? You cannot just commit. You cannot just give yourself. It's a relationship with an entire community as well. So you cannot just go there and save them. You need to in fact for a lot of times understand that other that you are committing to, and I think that's very important. We are committing to faces. We are committing to faces, and not just structures and systems. We are committing to individuals as well in communities and in
And I think mahalaga na message natin ni Pope Francis din doon sa bago niyang Fratelli Tutti is yung to rekindle that connectedness with other people, especially yung mga na-disconnect tayo. Na-disconnect because of differences in religion, differences in political opinion. I think yung pinakamahalaga ngayon sa Pilipinas is to reconnect dito sa social status, different beliefs, even yung mga biases because of their gender, sexual orientation, yung mga ibang nag-divide sa atin, is to reconnect. And that would make our commitment for a better world better.
Exactly, and if we could, but then that brings us to my patron saint, Saint Teresa of Lisieux. So she says that her vocation is love. I've been through many periods of discernment. Am I for that community? Am I for this kind of life? And then the only thing that made sense to me was what Therese says, we are all just called to love, we are called
Yes.
to, our real vocation in the church is one. There's only one vocation in the church. There's only one commitment. It doesn't even have to be a religious commitment. Because you can,
Yes.
it's love,
Love.
And I think that's where the problem lies. But and of course, love is about gift. What and the slogan of the fifth centennial of the 500 years of Christianity in the Philippines, the gifted to love, gifted to give. That we realize it's such a gift. This is a gift, and that's our commitment as well. That is our. I wanted to ask you this. So pagtataya siya sa Filipino. But if we reflect the English one, no? So committere is mittere cum, that is to be sent with. So sa English, ang root word ng commitment is mittere, which is to send. To send. And in the sending, there's of course somebody who sends. So as you said, the superior, So it's not just me, wanting to do what I want. That's not a commitment. There's somebody who sends me.
Yes.
Diba? And then of course there's the message, that is a military image. You're being sent. You're on a mission, but there's a message. The message is always communication. The message is very, very important in a commitment. It is not just you doing the commitment. And we always say that because our students, they're really very committed. Everything that they do, in their orgs, and then there's the one who sends. And then the other one is, what is the mission? What is the mission all about? And that is why all of that is in the word commitment. And I take that very seriously when you suggested commitment as a title. What are we committed to doing?
I remember, sir, when you were talking, I remember the gospel yesterday. It's about the call of the first apostles. Diba? They were called by someone, not just individually, Simon, Andrew, John, James, but as a community. They were formed into a community. And in any commitment, it would be about that loving call. Ganda. Pinag-uusapan namin yun ng isang araw na probably si Jesus, hindi yata he could be God, but certainly hindi siya marunong pumili ng kaibigan. Mangingisda na walang laging huli. Di ba? Si Saint Peter. Pero probably yun yung love Na nakikita ni Jesus na there's something more to this person than, diba? Laging ang account kay Peter, laging walang huli.
Hanggang ngayon, di ba? Lalo na siguro ngayon. And that's what we do also as a philo teacher, parang inisip mo. Or, you look at our society, nasa lahat yung tinuro natin sa kanila. Parang laging huli, di ba? Parang laging walang huli. And I think that's part of it, when you're making that commitment, you're not doing it as a complete person na, di ba? Kaya nga laging ano yung line ni you complete me. You complete me.
Men always in the process of becoming. Lagi tayong nagbabago, laging lumalago, babago. And I think that's exciting, It's exciting.
Yes, and that is the feast day of today, which is the conversion of Saint Paul. He was very committed to the annihilation of the way of those who were following the way. He was calling the way of Jesus. But little did he know that is, we can be fundamentalists as well. Our commitment, diba? We can be obsessive with our commitments. But maybe that is not the path that we're supposed to take, diba? So St. Paul had to learn a different way of committing himself. As you said, the apostles were fishermen. St. Paul is very different.
Perfect people.
Yes. Well, St. Paul is very different. He's a Roman citizen. He
Yeah.
studied, with Gamaliel. He was a freedman, diba? He's very different from the apostles, and yet he was very conscious of the fact that he was very imperfect. And I think that is part. In the olden days, you would say, Marcel said this, that it's in the nature of a commitment that it is never questioned. But maybe that's not going to work very well with our students. We have to question our commitment. Baka mali na pala yung paraan natin ng commitment, di ba? Baka mali na yung ating paraan of living out the mission or living out the vows. I think it's a big question. What is our mission? What is and there will always be, as we say in the spiritual life, it is the right path if there are people against it.
Pag may kaaway.
Yes. Kung walang opposing force yan, baka you're not doing God's work. You're not doing God's will. You're just doing your will. Diba? The opposing force is important. So I think we have reached 6 o'clock.
Yes.
So sana, Father Nono, you're very happy with the answers of Bien, huh?
Father Nono. Hello, Father Nono.
So, Bien, your parting words and
Yeah, siguro I would like to thank Sir Jovi first for inviting me to co-host.
Ayan, mahaba na yung natin. Roster of co-anchors.
Dito. And also, I thank you for this opportunity. I really enjoyed. And I also,
it's our pleasure. Kami yata nag-enjoy.
Thank you. And hopefully especially sa college students na nakikinig sa atin ngayon it's a slow process of getting to know. I'm still getting to know. I think everyone naman, we're still getting to know ourselves. But it's important, just like what Dr. Miroy said, it's important to get to know who we are. And I think that's a call for maturity, to get to know what we can do, what we cannot do, and what other people can do better.
That's true. So that's our show on commitment. And sabi nga ni Brother Bien, sasabihin ni St. Ignatius, if you want to commit in a time of extreme consolation and desolation, hinay-hinay, hinay-hinay. So in any case, that's something to think about. So we thank you again, Bien, for saying yes to our invitation, and hopefully next time also, huh? All right. That's our show this afternoon. All right. See you.
Bye, everyone.
Right.
See you.
Meron? Ano nga ba ang meron? Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis.